now, your main event. Introducing the hosts of Wrestling with Freddie, Jeff Dye, and Freddie Prinze Jr.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's Thursday. It's bonus content day. And you're lucky, and so are we, because there was a cool pay-per-view, which a lot of you got to see, called Forbidden Door. The door that Vince McMahon refuses to open, but Tony Khan leaves wide open. And I think it's pretty cool. However, I recently got rid of DirecTV and don't know how to order the pay-per-views. I have now since found out you can't do Bleacher Report on an Xbox, so that didn't work for me. And my wife does all the apps on the TV because I don't know how to work technology. So I will no longer miss anymore because she has since installed it and put it up properly. But fortunately, our man in the field, Jeff Dye, flew all the way to Japan. No, he didn't. But he did watch the pay-per-view. So I'm going to introduce these matches to the people. You're going to get them down. But this is also a Thursday where we can kind of talk about whatever we want. So any side quest that you want to go on, Jeff, I don't care if you want to talk old cars or that cool motorcycle you had with the sidecar and you just put your dog in it. That was pretty dope with goggles. We could talk about anything. Also, guys, don't forget, subscribe to PSN, the Premier Streaming Network. It's an app on your phone. You can download it, subscribe. It is the best of independent wrestling brought to you. So they have a home, so they have a place where you can watch, where you can learn about your favorite wrestlers before they were in AEW, before they were in WWE. Also, September 9th, we will announce the Premier Streaming Network's champion, the Premier Champion. I don't think I can tell you who the two wrestlers are in it yet, but as soon as I know for sure I can, I will. But that's September 9th in New Jersey. So go there, go to Premier Streaming Network, get the app. You can get tickets to the event if you want. And if I ain't working, I might even be there. That's not me formally announcing it. That's just me saying I might be there too. There you go. Jeff, the Forbidden Door. This is when, for those who don't know, when the American promotions take on the New Japan Pro Wrestling promotion. And this is something that WWE fans had always wanted and will never get, although they signed Japanese wrestlers and they've sent American wrestlers over there before. But this is on the show where you have to decide, is your guy going to lose to their guy, basically? And that's a lot of pride and character protection and things like that go along with it. So a lot of compromises have to be made. And then there's obviously some jobs that have to be done. Again, I wasn't able to watch this card because I'm technically stupid, but you were, and they started the match off with MJF going against, and I want to get all these names right, you guys. I really respect the culture. It's just hard for me sometimes, but I'm going to do my best. Hiroshi Tanahashi. He beat him. He retains his AEW World Championship. I don't think anybody was surprised by that. Jeff, what did you think of the match?
MJF is a star and the best. I also loved the way he built up to this. It was a delicious build-up, if you will, for him to just be like, it's a second-rate, crappy, independent league. I don't even know why we're doing this dumb paper, which is, if you think about it, what they've done with Forbidden Door, it's like when we were younger and we were like, wouldn't it be cool if they made a Mortal Kombat versus Street Fighter? Wouldn't it be cool if they made like DC and Marvel fought each other? Like we had all these dreams of what would later become true. We were able to do these things. And Tony Khan, credit to him, man. He made this cool thing happen. It's not like necessarily WWE versus AEW, but it's something. And it's fun. And for like these wrestling fans who really follow all these other markets, there's a lot of dream matches. Some are saying on the internet, this was the best pay-per-view ever. That's a lot. That's a lot to say. However,
that's heavy. That makes me feel like I missed something, and there's no way I missed something that damn good.
It was a lot of good stuff. And like I said, maybe not the best ever. I don't think it's the best ever. But that's what people are saying on the internet.
It was solid.
And also people on the internet they say a lot of things. So whatever. But that's just, I read that a lot. And I was going, okay, all right. They've
called me some pretty mean names over the years.
Yeah, that's all wrong. All that crap is not true. So here's the thing. Tanahashi he's old. but he's a legend. His reputation is as respected as any, but he's up there in age. He's not as young and as relevant and as strong and as good as MJF is currently. But the match was good, and MJF sold it outside of the ring and inside of the ring. Called him old, did all of his things. The match was good. It held up, and also MJF was hilarious. He said, I told him if I was going to do it, put it first so I can get out of here. I just want to go home. I don't want to. I thought that was a funny way to justify that he was forced to do it by Tony Khan.
Next up, CM Punk defeated Satoshi Kojima in an Owen Hart tournament match. And I'll be damned if you weren't right. I thought CM Punk would be celebrated in every city that he went to, and everyone would be happy. And you said, no, it's just because it's in Chicago. And granted, there were CM Punk chants, but every time there was one, the boo birds would come out and they would outlast the chant. The boos would shut down the chant. And I really didn't expect that. So my first question is CM Punk versus Satoshi. Who was the babyface and who was the heel?
They both kind of took turns doing this sort of thing. So it was like, also not to mention, Kojima looks 100 years old in the face. Like these look like two old dogs, but CM Punk looked young.
You think he's on Ozempic? He's on Ozempic, isn't he?
Something. It looked like CM Punk was surprised he was getting booed. Like in a way, like he was kind of like, what? You're booing me? But like maybe that was the character. Maybe it wasn't. Maybe he was.
I think it's the character because he did it on Collision as well. And he really leaned into it. And so kudos to him for that. I know I was critical of him last week, but the way he was like, oh, okay, I'll be a heel. I was like, yeah, hell yeah. All right. You're not being mad that they're booing. Good.
Exactly.
So we'll see how long it lasts, but good.
And it was fun. And also the shirt he wore out there. I don't know, talk about merch a lot. I like that shirt. I would buy and wear that shirt. Big fan of it was the pink and black, kind of like Bret Hart colors, but it had a good graphic on it. I liked it a lot. It was fun to watch him get the 50-50 boos, and it was fun to watch these two knuckle it out in there. I was very impressed with the match.
All right, next up, Orange Cassidy defeats Ring of Honor Pure Champion Katsuyori Shibata, NJPW TV Champion Zack Sabre Jr., and Daniel Garcia, who was doing this weird dance thing that I haven't seen him do until recently, and I'm not liking it, to retain the AEW International title. The Squozen one, freshly squozed, Orange Cassidy with the victory. You know I'm a fan of Orange Cassidy.
If you don't count Kenny Omega and Ospreay, this was my match of the night, match of the week.
Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah, it was nonstop. It just kept going. It was very, very fun, high action. I don't know. It just felt like every part of the match, you'd go, what's up? Like I just popped for every single like thing they did. And also, like you said, we continue to keep talking about it, but I feel like Orange Cassidy is slowly becoming the real deal. Like it's not just a comedian thing. It's not just a gimmick. And like he's perfectly became this real deal. So I liked it a lot. It was a good match.
Wrestlers love working with him. I've spoken to a few different people and they all just sing him the highest praise, man. They really, really did. They say he's a good dude, really giving, really generous, like just super cool. So I like him more and more each week. All right, next up was Sonata with Douki. I hope I said that right. And they defeated Jungle Boy Jack Perry. I'm still not liking Jungle Boy. And I think it should just be Jack Perry. And at the end of this match, Jack Perry was very Hollywood, bro. It's almost like his dad was in the business or something. And he just was total dick move. Not only turned his back, but just destroyed and backstabbed his best friend. God, what a scumbag. That never has happened to me in this business 3 different times.
Yeah, Jungle Boy is no longer Jungle Boy. Just Jack Perry at this point.
Jerkface Jack Perry.
Yeah, and also, he is a jerk. I really believe it. It seems like a jerk.
It's because he's doing a good job. Now you hate him.
Well, no, I told you I saw him in that wrestling cruise, and he was just like, didn't talk to anyone. He didn't do anything. He didn't shake any hands. He seemed just like, I think he's going to be a great heel, because I don't know if he's introverted.
Maybe you should have been a little funnier, Jeff.
No, he didn't even come to the comedy shows. I think he's just maybe introverted, shy, over it. Maybe he was just having a bad weekend. Shows. It's hard to say what happened. So sour grapes, because Sonata defeats Jungle Boy, right? So he's already like kind of grumpy, but then he gets pulled out of the ring, kind of walked up by Hook. if anybody reads like the sheets or Dave Meltzer or any of these things, you knew they were going to turn Jungle Boy Jack Perry into a heel. So I didn't even avoid that spoiler on Twitter, but I kept waiting for it during the match. I kept waiting for like kind of a classic thing, but when he got to the top of the ramp, Jungle Boy just clotheslines Hook. The belt goes flying. He holds up the belt and then throws it down at Hook. And what sold
Screw that belt
was, like you said, you like the way Jey Uso reveals on his face. Dude, the looks from the crowd, even though the AEW fans are the most dialed in wrestling fans in the world, there's no way they didn't all see this coming. Yeah. But they had some great reaction shots of fans being like, what? Like, I'm shocked. And then a lot of fans that were like laughing because they like Jack Perry even though he just turned. And then they shoot to Taz, and Taz takes off his glasses and just completely sells it. Like, what just happened? Like, it was a perfect sell by Taz.
That's awesome. I friggin' love Taz, by the way.
Yeah, perfect sell by Taz, perfect sell by the crowd. It was all great, but it was, if I'm honest, nothing in the ropes impressed me as much as the way they were able to sell that kind of moment at the top of the ramp.
Well, let's skip around and get to a match that you did like between the ropes. Will Ospreay defeating Kenneth Omega to win the IWGP US title. Was this your match of the night, sir? Match of the week? Match of the year?
Yes. Ospreay. I'm only aware of him from like highlights that I'll watch because we're going to talk about him on the next week. You know, I don't see a lot of his matches, but it seems like every time I'm talking about a great match, it's with Kenny Omega. Whether Kenny Omega loses or whether Kenny Omega wins, I feel like I'm constantly talking about Kenny Omega for the best matches, at least. That's what I feel like. I think Kenny Omega is my low-key wrestling man crush. This guy's so stinking good.
I have to get more hip to, I'm just started getting hip to him when he came back from that injury and was doing those trios matches. And I was like, I don't know why people talk shit on this guy, dude. He's good as fuck.
So yeah, he's awesome.
I didn't understand what the hate was, but I'm not hip to all his matches, except I saw one old one with him and Will Ospreay.
Will Ospreay wins, which I wasn't expecting. I think that's another reason I popped so big, is like, what? He's beating.
That's why Forbidden Door is cool, because if you have somebody who's willing to do the job, then you get that kind of a, wait, what? He lost? And then now the other promotion has the belt. Like, it's a really cool thing, man. That's why I always hoped that WWE would do it, but they never will.
It was fascinating, to say the least, that this lived up to the exact hype that everybody was saying it would, and it was awesome. Very, very good match. Kenny Omega, my man crush.
And now it's time for Jeff Dye's Hot Tag of the Week. Yeah.
Well, I know that this Thursday episode was all about the greatest pay-per-view in the world, according to Twitter, AEW. But my hot tag of the week is about the Bloodline. It's easy to come on here and tell you what you read on the sheets and what Dave Meltzer says is going to happen. It's also easy maybe to predict what's going to happen when you worked and flew and hung out with and cool with Vince McMahon, Freddie. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to tell you what I wish would happen if I was booking this Bloodline story. You got the Usos versus Solo Sikoa, and you got Roman Reigns, and they're in there, and it looks like things are going to go down, and we build it. It takes, 25 minutes for all of their intros by the time they get in the ring? Give them microphones, let them jaw at each other, say, this is what's going to happen, the Bloodline separating, like everyone thinks is going to happen, like everyone is expecting, right? Because it's a match. That's how these things work. You want turmoil in the Bloodline. And then someone comes in to do some mic work named Paul E. Heyman. And what do? The Usos in stereo give him a super kick, knock Paul Heyman out. Roman Reigns does a move on Paul Heyman, like gives him a super punch. They basically Sikoa gives him the Samoa spike with the big thumb.
They turn him out.
They turn on Paul Heyman. They put the belts on the shoulders. Usos hug Roman Reigns. Roman Reigns holds their head like, I'm sorry, buddy. I love you, boys. I've lost my mind. I've went crazy. They hug Sikoa, and guess who comes out? Guess whose music hits? Rikishi as the new manager of the Bloodline, as the Bloodline's guy. They put the belts on Rikishi. They all do the crazy dance.
He's the new wise man?
Yes, and they do the crazy dance. Oh. And we don't need a main event of that. We get a pure Bloodline We get rid of Paulie Heyman, which you can now put with a different superstar. We already know Paul Heyman can make people incredibly better by being there.
Not everyone, but damn near almost everyone.
And also the bloodlines are so over. They don't need Paul Heyman to keep doing so great. But let's use Paul Heyman to put other people over the way we use MJF every 3 weeks to try to get some wrestler over at AEW. So that's not what's going to happen. It's what I wish would happen. And in a week where I was watching a lot of wrestlers that I'm not that familiar with because of they're in Japan wrestling, and then I'm familiar with like half of the roster of AEW. I didn't have a good AEW hot take, so I'm just bringing it right back to SmackDown for the hot take of the week. Love you, Freddie. Love you, Federation. That's my hot take.
It's Jeff Dye's hot take of the week. Yeah. Yeah. Thanks for listening, everybody. Appreciate y'all. We'll see you guys next Wednesday with a brand new episode of Wrestling with Friends.
Follow us on Instagram, Wrestling with Freddie. Twitter is WWFreddie Pod. Follow us on all the socials so you can submit your questions for the Federation.
This has been a production of iHeart's My Cultura Podcast Network. For more podcasts from iHeartRadio, visit the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you listen to your favorite shows.